What's up, y'all? It is Hot Wheels Tournaments, and welcome to another presentation. Today, we are talking about super treasure hunts Hot Wheels should make in 2025 and beyond. These are the cars I think are most deserving of becoming a Hot Wheels super treasure hunt in the future for one reason or another. We'll start with supercars. I've gone ahead and grouped the super treasure hunts all based on the type of car they would be. We'll begin with supercars. Of course, I love supercars, so that's where we're going to start. We begin with one of my all-time favorite castings, the Lamborghini Huracan, which has had a long, long run, particularly in the mainline. We've also seen a few premium versions in car culture and pop culture and things of that nature. But in my opinion, this is one of the best executed Hot Wheels Lamborghinis ever. Maybe the best Hot Wheels executed Lamborghini. The only other car that would be an argument is the Lamborghini Super Trofeo, which of course was just a super treasure hunt in the P case in 2024, and it was fantastic. People really seemed to enjoy it. I would love to see the Huracan go and get its chance as a super treasure hunt here in the near future. I think in particular a Spectraflame Blue, very clean, with some nice silver five spokes would look fantastic. I think that would be a great look, but it's a great casting. It's had a long, long run, and I think it is very, very deserving of its opportunity to be a super treasure hunt. It would absolutely prove to be a beautiful and popular one if done correctly. We followed that up with what I believe firmly, maybe, probably is the best basics release of the last 5 years, and that is the McLaren F1. This car is so perfectly executed. It is so clean. It looks so great. They've done it a favor and they've sent it to premium. We have gotten a few car culture versions now. We've seen it in the Jay Leno's Garage. We've seen it in exotics, and I believe we're getting it again this year in another set in premium, and it looks fantastic. But the one thing it's missing is a true super treasure hunt run. And finally, we had never gotten a McLaren super treasure hunt of any kind until this year in 2025 when they announced the Speedtail would be a super treasure hunt. But let's be real. If we're going to do a McLaren super treasure hunt, let's do the iconic F1. This is the car that defined the brand up until the P1 in the 2010s. It is a fantastic casting. It is the best McLaren Hot Wheels has in their catalog. If they want to go and do it in that signature burnt orange McLaren color, it would look fantastic. I think this needs to happen. It should happen. And I don't think there'd be a single person that would be mad about it. Speaking of McLaren, of course, if we're going to say the F1 needs to be a super treasure hunt, we're going to say the same thing about the P1. The P1 and the F1 are the two cars that define McLaren. They have defined the last two generations of cars for that brand. And we, of course, are getting the W1 as a new model this year, which, in my opinion, should also be a super treasure hunt. If you guys have not caught on to the theme here, I really love this pinnacle car from the McLaren brand. I think it's fantastic. I think they're some of the most beautiful cars out there. The Hot Wheels versions are great. The P1 isn't quite as perfect as the F1. The F1 is perfect. The McLaren P1 casting, while really, really good, does have a flaw or two, particularly the rear wheels are a little bit big, I think, for my liking, but it is still a fantastic casting. Like the Huracan, it has been around forever. It debuted the same year in 2015. It has had a long, long, long run in basics. We've seen it in premium once or twice, but basics is where it's been. It's been a 5-pack exclusive. It's been a 10-pack exclusive, but we don't have that A++ version. We don't have that must-have version of the P1, and of course they should be doing it in that burnt orange color. That would be the one to have. And personally, if they're going to do these McLaren Supers, I think they should do them together, maybe one in one year, one the next year, then maybe the W1 the year after, but do all of them in that signature McLaren burnt orange. The Speedtail is nice, but these are the two, as far as McLaren is concerned, that should be super treasure hunts. We follow that up with a fan favorite, the Porsche 911 GT3, in particular the current generation they've been doing, which is the 992 generation. Despite debuting in just 2022, this thing has already had a long mainline run. We've seen it in 5 different colors in basically 3 years, in 3 different appearances, essentially 2022, 2023, and 2025. It has gone to premium once, but if they're going to do this, which I think they will, this is an incredibly popular casting. Hot Wheels is very good at giving their popular castings a chance to be super treasure hunts, a chance to shine. I think they need to go all out with this one, and they need to put it in a Falken livery. This is actually a car that races in the Falken livery currently. Falken does sponsor the Porsche 911 GT3 992 race car, which is awesome. You can see a photo of it below. And you might be thinking, well, that might be really difficult. Doing Spectraflame in two different colors like that just wouldn't work. Well, they've done it before. They did it on the Toyota off-road truck all the way back in either 2015 or 2016, and it was killer. If they went and did this on a Porsche 911 GT3 for a Super Treasure Hunt, it might hands down be the most it would be the most popular Super of the year and would probably make ways onto a lot of people's top 5 list of all time. It would be an instant must have. Very similar, maybe not quite to the level that Roxy was this year as a car culture chase, but they could blow the doors wide open on how popular and how great a run this casting is having and could have, though technically the car culture version I know is different from the mainline car. They're two different castings. But either way, it would just be fantastic. It would be so cool. It would be an instant must have. I complain sometimes about Hot Wheels not being creative or taking chances or doing fun things with their super treasure hunts. This is how you should execute the next Porsche 911 GT3 Super that they decide to take on. We follow that up with the Automobili Pininfarina Battista, and I was putting this on the list because Hot Wheels doesn't have the Ferrari license anymore, but they still deserve to make Ferrari level super treasure hunts. Now, after I made this list and put together this presentation, Hot Wheels announced that they were bringing Ferrari back. So that's out the window. This list will unfortunately not include any Ferraris, though there are many that deserve to be super treasure hunts, or if they decide to make a casting of, deserve that opportunity. But before Hot Wheels had the Ferrari license 2 weeks ago, they were doing their best to kind of go out of their way and find unique ways they could make Ferraris without actually making Ferraris. And Automobili, for those that don't know, these cars are designed by an old Ferrari designer. And as a result, bear a striking resemblance to the early 2010s Ferraris. That's when he was designing for the brand. And the Automobili Pininfarina Battista is just that. The Hot Wheels version is a really, really good representation. While not completely perfect, I think it would be a really fun and cool super to see. In particular, this dark metallic forest green, very similar to what they put on the Audi this year, though maybe a little bit greener than that, I think would be really interesting and really cool and really pop and be kind of a fun super treasure. I think, it might be clean and kind of boring for some people, but for me, I think it would be really awesome and I would love to find it on the pegs if it was ever made. We round off this list with another one-off hypercar, the Rimac Nevera. This thing is a killer casting. It is a great representation of the real car. We've gotten a couple good versions. We got blue and white as a new model in 2023. Is of course coming back in red in 2025. And I don't necessarily have an idea or a color or a scheme to go with this one. All I know is if they decided to make it and put some bright, shiny silver rims on there, it would be a fantastic car to find. I think it's a great casting. I think it's very well executed. I think at some point deserves a true either premium or hopefully super treasure hunt release. From there, we'll move into our Euro section, and we start with another Porsche. This is the Porsche 911 Carrera RS 2.7, an older generation 911 that debuted in 2023, but nonetheless was a fantastic new model. This thing is such a perfect execution of the ducktail little Porsche sports car, and we deserve to see a super treasure hunt version coming some point soon, I would hope. It's hard to imagine they won't do it. This is such a great casting. It is so well deserving. They have appropriately already moved it to premium. We are seeing it in Boulevard as well as Car Culture to begin 2025. So that is welcome. But again, another fantastic casting, one I consider to be really perfect and really popular within the collecting community. And that type of car typically gets its run as a super treasure hunt. If they're going to do it, they need to stay true to the Carrera striping on the side. That is the iconic look for the ducktail Porsche, and they've kept to that so far. We've gotten 4 versions in basic in white, yellow, red, and orange. All of them have kept this striping. The 2 premium versions have kept this striping. In particular, if we were to see it, I'd like to see kind of like a baby blue color for the basic, like we see on the left with some black striping. But for the Super Treasure Hunt version, I would love to see a bright like candy blue, bright, just really shocking blue color, very similar to what we saw on the Volvo Gasser Super in 2024. I think that with some black striping would look so, so good. Be an instant must have. It would be flying off the shelves. From there, we move to the BMW E36 M3 Race, a forgotten Hot Wheels casting. It debuted in 2013 or 2014, I believe, right kind of during the Hot Wheels Renaissance when they began a big car culture push and moving away from classic American muscle to expand to the entire globe for their cars and inspiration that you would see in their main line. It was very limited up until that point of time. And the BMW E36 Race was one of the first cars to kind of usher in the modern era of Hot Wheels. And while maybe not a perfect casting, it was super popular and it remains super popular on the secondary market. These things don't go for the cheapest prices on eBay or whatnot, what you're shopping. And it certainly is a very important car in car racing history, which we know Hot Wheels loves to pay tribute to and loves to replicate. And yet, for some reason, this car has seemingly kind of dropped off the face of the planet. We saw it a lot in the mid 2010s, and then it's kind of disappeared. We haven't really seen a proper release of it in a good while here. And I see this Super Treasure Hunt operating very similar to what the Mazda 787B did in 2024. That car, obviously, while not taking any of the direct sponsors, paid tribute to the legendary Le Mans 787s of the past and did a very orange and green deco inspired by these cars, again, without the sponsors. The E36 M3 Race is one of the most accomplished race cars in the history of racing. It won a ton of races in the 90s, and this is what that deco looked like for those cars. It was Yokohama sponsored with some red, some white, and black. And I think they go the same route with the E36 M3 Race. Take this car that is part of racing history, part of racing heritage, and you're not going to be able to get all the sponsors, but go ahead and give us a red, white, and black deco that pays tribute to those iconic E36 M3 race cars as a Super Treasure Hunt. It's a good casting, maybe not perfect, but we deserve to see it again, and we deserve to see it in a proper heritage tribute color scheme as a Super Treasure Hunt, I at least think. Now we move into the world of JDM. This is everybody's favorite. There are some notable misses that have not been made into Super Treasure Hunts, in my opinion, and let's talk about them. Every Skyline, every Civic has gotten its chance to shine as a Hot Wheels Super Treasure Hunt because the orange, or the blue team, excuse me, knows what they're doing. They give their iconic castings, they give the iconic cars that people want to see a chance to shine. The one JDM car I think they have really missed on giving it its opportunity is the 1998 Subaru Impreza 22B. We got a fantastic debut version in blue. We've seen it in silver. We've seen it in red. And then we've gotten a couple of one-off premium versions here and there. But let's be real. This car deserves to be a Super Treasure Hunt. It is one of those iconic JDM cars. It is also one of those iconic, accomplished racing cars that we were just talking about. Just like those we were just talking about, I think a Super Treasure Hunt should pay tribute to its iconic racing heritage in World Rallycross. Give us a blue Subaru Impreza 2022 or 22B with yellow markings, similar to what the World Rallycross car looked like. Give it that iconic number 3 and make this thing a Super Treasure Hunt. People would eat it up. I would eat it up. It would be a fantastic Super. Spectraflame Blue with those World Rallycross inspired markings. People would go nuts. Continue paying tribute to your iconic racing cars. Another car that has come out within the last couple of years that has been very, very popular every single time it's been released is the Liberty Walk Nissan GT-R R35. I'm not going to attempt to pronounce that full name because it is just a letter salad. But this has been an immensely popular casting. I happen to really, really like it. We've seen, I think, 5 versions now. We saw red, we saw blue, obviously pictured here. We've seen white, few other colors, and then it was in 2025 in a nice little then and now gray version. But either way, it's a very cool casting. It's very popular, and I don't have an idea of where to go with it, which is kind of the beauty of this car. It is so unique. It is so different. It has such a unique look with that silhouette package that Hot Wheels could take this deco any which way they wanted to. They could get particularly crazy with what they decide to do with it, with the rims they put on it, and they could create a truly wild looking Super Treasure Hunt with this one. And I think it would be really hard to mess up. I think the team could have a lot of fun. And I'm always preaching for creativity with your Super Treasure Hunts. I've pitched a lot of either heritage ideas or kind of clean looks, but when the opportunity arises to be creative and do something unique, that is when you get iconic Super Treasure Hunts. That is how you get your Chevy Bel Air Gassers. That is how you get your Datsun 510 wagons that are so beloved by people. This is an opportunity to create another legendary Super Treasure Hunt, in my opinion, if they come up with the right idea. We followed that up with another legend, another one of those big three, really, as I kind of picture it. It's the Nissan Skyline, pick your generation, R34 typically is what it is, Honda Civic, the EK9, and then the Toyota Supra. Really kind of the holy trinity of JDM hype cars that Hot Wheels has done and every diecast brand has done, and go for nuts money, not only in the diecast world, but in the real world as well. Now, I know what you're saying with the Toyota Supra. It's already been a Super Treasure Hunt. It's pictured on the right. But let's be real. For such an iconic car, is this G-Ready Hot Wheels racing deco really that good? Is that really what you want out of your Toyota Supra Super Treasure Hunt? No, it's not. You want something more iconic. You want something more fitting. The R34 Super Treasure Hunt is better. The EK9, obviously, the Gold Nugget, which I don't personally like, but is beloved by so many is iconic. The Toyota Supra needs a better representation. And in particular, I think it needs a retooling. We've been doing this big wing Toyota Supra forever now. I know why they do it. I know that's what the Fast and Furious car looks like. I know that's why it was tooled that way to begin with. But they need to do a retooling. Give us the more stock looking Toyota Supra. Give us the actual rear wing, not this big oversized spoiler that it has now, and go create a fantastic Super Treasure Hunt with that retooling. Give us the stock version. Give it to us as a Super Treasure Hunt. The people would go nuts. I would go nuts. And yeah, the hype would be off the charts. Let's be real. We all know that. We follow that up with a premium model that has actually not made its way over to the main line yet. Who knows? It may not. But that is the Toyota GR Corolla. It was a new model in premium in 2024. And this is a really cool car just in general, in real life, in my opinion. It keeps that hot hatch kind of mentality, that hot hatch culture alive, which really has kind of been waning in recent years. You don't see hot hatches being nearly as cool as they probably were 15 or so years ago. But this one is really cool. It's a great performance vehicle. The Hot Wheels version is fantastic. And a lot of times, if these premium cars transfer over into the main line, they kind of get a debut immediately as a Super Treasure Hunt. We saw it with the Fiat last year. I believe there's another casting. I'm spacing on what it is that's doing. Oh, the Datsun Sunny truck is doing that as well this year. And I think if they ever decide to put the GR Corolla in the main line, it would be a really cool Super Treasure Hunt if they decide to do it in the HKS Deco, as you see on the right. Now, obviously, this would be a continuation of a theme we have seen with Hot Wheels. HKS has been on multiple mainline cars. Probably the most notable was also a Super Treasure Hunt. It was a Honda Civic Type R that was very cool and is very popular with collectors. And it would be cool to see that theme continue because this is a really well done casting. It's a really unique car, and an HKS Super would look great. We know it would look great. It looks great on the Civic. It would look great on the GR Corolla. Let's follow that up with what would just be an incredibly fun Hot Wheels Super Treasure Hunt. That is the Honda Odyssey Race minivan that Hot Wheels has done. This is another one that's kind of become forgotten. It debuted in this awesome Honda racing scheme. It was in premium for a car culture set, and I think it got a release in the Honda Walmart exclusive series. I don't think we've seen it since. It really, for as a unique and fun casting as it is, we really haven't seen it that much. And as a result, it has a very cult following within the Hot Wheels brand. While you wouldn't expect a racing minivan to be that popular, you would expect this to peg warm. Because it's been released so little, they've kind of started generating crazy prices online. You ever see these sell in eBay or whatnot live streams? They kind of go for like wild money, like considering what you would think they would go for now. And Hot Wheels has a chance to keep it in kind of its exclusive state of kind of a weird one-off car that they release very rarely if they do it as a Super Treasure Hunt. It'd be really fun. I think it'd be really popular. I think people would be really, really excited about it. They were excited about it as a main line. They were excited about it when it was in car culture, and they're still excited about it now, clearly based on the prices it goes for. And again, this is one of those I don't have an idea of what you do for it. Hot Wheels could go a million directions, but they could do something really fun and really cool with the deco, and just again having a chance to create a really unique and iconic super, if they go, a certain direction with it. I don't know what that is, but I think this would be just a really fun, really awesome, really unique way for them to create a really, really, really sought after super. And that brings us to Muscle. This is the classic bread and butter of Hot Wheels. This is where Super Treasure Hunt started. If you go back and look at the first years of Super Treasure Hunts in 2012, 2013, 2014, it was almost exclusively muscle cars, all with their Hot Wheelsified look in Spectraflame colors with stripes and flames and just the quintessential Hot Wheels models. This is where Super Treasure Hunts became cool. And one of those muscle cars that's been around forever, has been part of that just core Hot Wheels muscle group that really defined the brand up until about 2014, 2015, is the 1970 Plymouth AAR CUDA. This is personally one of my favorite muscle cars. It's really one of the only ones that I will collect most versions of when I see it in the store on the pegs. And despite how long it's been around, and despite all the classic muscle cars that have gotten the Super Treasure Hunt treatment, the Plymouth AAR CUDA hasn't. So I think this one deserves its time to shine. Put a shiny Spectraflame on it, whether it's red, gold, orange, blue, green, purple. Give it some stripes or some flames. Slap some shiny silver disc real riders on there. And yeah, you have a home run in the making. Just, a quintessential Hot Wheels Super. We followed that up, and maybe you can consider this a supercar considering the performance stats it puts up, but it is a new model in 2015, is the newest model on this list, is the Ford Mustang GTD, which I already really, really like. I love the look of it. It looks really sleek, but I think they have an opportunity to do something really, really cool here. If I were to do this car, if I were to make it a Hot Wheels Super, I would make it a Zamac Super. It would be the first Super to ever do that. We have seen Supers always in Spectraflame. We have seen one time that I can think of where the Super Treasure Hunt did not match the mainline version. That was, they had the Super Treasure Hunt Nissan GTR, which was like blue and white, that was converse to the white and red version that was in cases. This would be, they could do a Zamac mainline, and then the Zamac Super, the only difference would be real riders, gold real riders with a TH Tampo. People might get really annoyed by that. I personally think it would be so freaking cool if the only difference between the mainline and the Super was the wheels and one tiny little Tampo. That would be so cool. It would be so awesome. It'd be such a unique Super, and it's such an awesome car to do it on. I think it would be really, really fun. I think it'd be really awesome. People might hate that. People might destroy me in the comments. This is my dream for this casting, though, if they ever go the Super Treasure Hunt route. You didn't think we'd forget about trucks, did you? Of course, we have to talk about trucks. For all the truck lovers out there, let's take a look at some of the castings I believe should get their chance to shine in the Spectraflame. We begin with the GMC Cyclone. This has been probably the most popular truck casting from the last like 5 years I can think of. There have been some iconic Hot Wheels trucks, obviously the '83 Chevy Silverado and Silverados in general pop into mind, but the GMC Cyclone from the last like 5 years is probably the most popular casting they've released that is a truck. They go for crazy money on whatnot every time I see them go up. There have been some great releases. The Zamac one is really, really good. The first edition in black is fantastic. And again, this is one we've seen it a couple times in the main line now. I think it deserves its chance to pop. People seem to really, really like it. They seem to really, really appreciate it. So let's go ahead and give it its chance. Again, this is one the Hot Wheels team can have a lot of fun with. They can do some crazy decos with it. They can maybe go with a crazy like sponsor for it, a crazy like partnership brand for it. But either way, I think it'd be really fun. It'd be really cool, and people would appreciate it a lot. From there, we go to the 2017 Ford F-150 Raptor, and This is the type of super treasure hunt I think we've really been missing the last like 5 or 6 years. We haven't got a lot of massive, just like beefy trucks. And if you go back and you look at like 2012 to 2015, we got a lot of those. We got the Toyota off-road truck a couple times. We got a fantastic version of like a lifted, I believe it was like Toyota Tacoma that was really, really good in red. We got the Sandblaster, which was a generic, but it was this huge lifted truck with some beefy real riders, just some beefy off-road real riders. It was great, and we haven't really gotten that in the last like 5 or 6 years that I can think of. I know we're getting the Jeep Gladiator this year, but the Jeep Gladiator isn't exactly the most popular casting. I don't think a lot of people care for it. Let's give us a truck that's popular that people love. I think the Ford F-150 Raptor casting is really, really good. And I think if you go put it in the Raptor Deco, you give it a Spectraflame Red or a Spectraflame Green or whatever it may be, and you put it on some beefy real riders, people would be ecstatic. It would be a really fun super, and it'd be something finally different. We haven't seen that style of super in a long, long time. We don't get off-road real riders in the Super Treasure Hunt line often, and this would be an opportunity to capitalize on that and give us a really desirable, beefy truck and a chance for it to shine in the limelight. From there, we go to one of my personal favorite castings. That is the Volkswagen Caddy, which is just this adorable little pickup truck that has had a long, long run. We've seen it go premium in Boulevard. We've seen it in multiple 5 packs and 10 packs and in the main line and sport all sorts of colors. And it's a cool little casting, and I really appreciate it. I have a couple versions of my collection that I really, really enjoy. And I think there's a lot of people that kind of feel that way about this casting. But I think they have the opportunity. If I was going to do this, I would do it as a surf truck. Go ahead and put it in like this, surf style deco, or maybe some, toned out faded colors with some rust like the picture you see on the left. Give it like some brown wheels, make it look modified, make it look like a worn, well appreciated car that some dude's just been driving to the beach every single day with his surfboards in the bed and just chilling with it. It would be such a great look for this car. It would be such a truly unique super treasure. And I think if you did like a faded pink with some blue or a faded blue with some green, and then you Spectraflame that, it would just be such a fun casting. Maybe, some like painted on wood paneling on the side or something really weird like that. It would just be such a joy, such a fun super treasure hunt, which ultimately, again, I preach creativity. Super treasure hunts should be creative. We should see unique things with them. They should really stand out. I think this casting, if they execute it the right way, would do that. Anyways, all that is all I have for you today. Those are the castings I would love to see Hot Wheels give an opportunity to shine in the Spectra Flame and some real riders as super treasure hunts, and some of the ideas I have on how they could be executed. If you have cars you want to see as a super treasure hunt, let me know in the comments down below, and I'll see you later. Peace.